Hello everyone, thank you for coming to my presentation. My name is Alina Naismith and I have studied pediatric occupational therapy this year with my mentor Callie Lamus. So my quote for this year is, "The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams." I think this is valuable for anyone going into any type of career, even going into college. Everyone has to have a dream. If you don't have a dream, then how are you going to succeed in life? I just think it's really important to have that dream and go for it with all of your self, and just immerse yourself in it. And that's by Eleanor Roosevelt. A little bit about me. I was born and raised in Sarasota, Florida. That is the west coast of Florida, and I have such fond memories growing up there. I moved here my junior year, so I kind of miss it, but I love Frisco too. I am an editor-in-chief of Yearbook. It's a lot of work. We finally finished the yearbook about a couple weeks ago, so it's awesome and can't wait for you guys to see it. I'm a semi-professional photographer. I love taking photos. These are the first photos I took when I was little, when I first got my digital camera. I enjoy singing, plus I've written 20 lyrics. It's just something that I like to do. I've done it for like 10 years. I love playing billiards and darts with my dad. It's something I do every single week, so I like playing pool a lot. My friend Sierra and I, with the help of our moms, created Young Girls Service Club called Helping Hands in 2008. So I've loved volunteering ever since I was little. It's just been something I love to do, just helping people in general. I adore helping others and volunteering. Kind of just said that, but just putting an emphasis on I like helping people. That's why I want to go into occupational therapy. About ISM. I took ISM this year in order to experience the career I'm interested in. So I didn't really know much about occupational therapy when I began in the fall, and I just wanted to know more about it, so that's one reason why I took ISM. To learn more about my passions. So I love helping people. I just wanted to learn more about how to do that in more of a medical aspect, and so that's one reason also why I studied occupational therapy. And to become a more professional person. As you can see now, I'm wearing professional clothing. I've never worn this before this year. And so it's just something that I've learned to do and learned to get better at, just being, more professional. And so yeah, that's awesome. Aspect of occupation, or ISM also. I've learned so much more this year than what I could ever have expected. ISM has been amazing, and I'm so glad that I got into it. And I just continue to grow and develop my interests and passion for occupational therapy as I go on. So it's awesome. My mission statement, it's basically just exploring the field of occupational therapy and experiencing it in a realistic atmosphere. I just wanted to be within the guidance of an occupational therapist, and it's just something that I think everyone can grow from, just being in the like real world occupation of what you want to go into. So before you figure out if that's what you really want to do. What is an occupational therapist? Basically, occupational therapy helps people across the lifespan to participate in things that they want or need to do through everyday activities. So basically, this can range from simple everyday activities such as going to the bathroom or taking a shower by yourself or putting on your clothes, just depending on how old you are and what stage in life you're at. And then it can also go to like handwriting and just learning more about what you want to do, like sports-wise or within school if you're a child. So it just really ranges, just things that you would do every day. That's kind of what occupational therapy focuses on. So examples, helping children with disabilities participate in school. This can include socializing with kids their own age, or just being able to write or know what they're reading, or just simple things like that. Helping people recovering from an injury to regain skill. This is also something that physical therapists do with like moving the joints and everything and getting those situated. Occupational therapy kind of works on that too, except more in a everyday aspect. Providing support for elderly experiencing physical and cognitive changes. So this can be, you know, elderly patients have a lot of other disabilities that, you know, younger patients might not have. And they just kind of focus on that and try to regain the skills that the elderly people want to keep throughout their aging. Career outlook. The field is estimated to grow 29% in the next 8 years, which is really great stat. And therapists need good communication skills, so they just need to be able to talk to their patients and talk to parents if it's kids. Problem-solving capabilities, they need to be able to understand what the patient needs and kind of help them in a way that they will gain skill from, I guess. Creative out-of-the-box thinking, they need to be able to think out of the box, be artistic in what you do, and because, you know, every patient's different, every patient will need something different, and you need to be able to help them. Research, what I learned. Every patient is unique. Like I said, every patient's different. Every patient needs specific kinds of help. So for example, a child might need to learn how to write because that's something that everyone needs to know how to do growing up. And so what they would do is find a specific way that that person can learn and be able to teach them how to write by doing, doing that specific thing that helps them. There's a fair amount of flexibility. There's a lot of flexibility in occupational therapy. You pretty much make your own hours. You know, you have people that have different schedules too, but you can also work with your schedule. And usually, from what I've learned, it works out either way. And yeah, location determines salary. So this is just something that if you live in Florida, like I did, there's a lot of retirees. So that would be more elderly patients. It would be geriatric. Whereas here, there's a lot of pediatric patients. So it just depends on where you live, and that also, you know, constitutes your salary. You must be aware of common errors. So the error of misjudgment, lack of experience, preparation, or knowledge. This is something that can really come with any career, just lack of knowing what you're doing pretty much. And I guess the best way to help that is just get advice from other occupational therapists or research more and get more insight in what you're doing. Difference between OT and PT. Occupational therapy is more everyday activities, whereas physical therapy is more kind of looking at specific joints that need therapy in the patient, whether it's back or if they broke their leg, regaining that strength. Specific classes and degrees. So the University of North Texas trip was awesome. I'm really glad I was able to do that. I think the most interesting class I was in was abnormal psychology, and that was really interesting because it's something that you kind of look at for OT. A lot of the kids or patients in general coming in have some sort of psychological disorder, whether it's developmental, mental, you know, there's a range of different disorders, and I think it's just interesting to learn about those and kind of know what the patient's going through. Interviews. I interviewed one person. My first interview actually was someone who owned their own therapy business, and I thought that was really cool. I thought that was something that I might be able to do when I grow up, because I do want to go into something entrepreneurship-wise, maybe have my own business, whether or not it's therapy or another kind. But there was a lot of responsibility within that also that I would need to learn about. Owning a business is definitely challenging, but I know it has a lot of rewards that comes with it. So OTs give tests for measuring different senses. So basically what happens when a patient comes in is they have to go through a couple different tests, and these tests can range from, you know, just basic personality tests to specific tests on what they might need. And this is one thing that I worked on for my original work, was testing when the children came in. But that also includes motor proficiency tests, and that motor proficiency is basically just the basic skills that you have. It includes balance, coordination, all that type of things that you would just come naturally to you usually, but to these kids it might not. I observed a real pediatric session with Callie Lamus. This was my second interview, and it lasted for 2 hours instead of 20 minutes. It was amazing, and that was the first time that I was really able to see inside of what occupational therapists did. I was able to just observe, and the little girl that I observed, I've actually seen her 5 different times, and so that's really cool. She's kind of bonded with me. Every time she sees me, she hugs me. It's just awesome. So similarities and differences in physical therapy, kind of hinted on this already. Physical therapy, I interviewed 2 physical therapists, and so basically what they did is a little bit different than occupational therapy. They work on massaging different joints and, you know, working out, stuff like that. So it's just a little bit different, different aspect of therapy. Large corporations can be a headache. So I interviewed my best friend's dad, Dr. Jeswa, and he was really awesome with giving me more insight on like large corporations. Like I've really only seen small businesses of occupational therapy, but with the large corporations, there could be some headaches that you might get. For example, when you're in a big corporation, there's a lot of regulations that you have to follow that might be more strict. And so he just said, watch out for that. You kind of have to find your niche and what you want to do, and kind of have to find the place that you feel comfortable in. So some valuable advice I got also was explore different roads within the field. So that includes, I can explore geriatrics, pediatrics, head and spine centers, anything just to get me interested in a certain pathway down occupational therapy that I can concentrate on. Build on the resume. That's for everyone. Of course, you'll need your resume throughout your whole life, and it's just important to have that up to date. Maintain close contact with patients. So you have to be able to work really closely with patients, and I've kind of observed this a little bit throughout my mentorship. She has to, you know, usually she has to guide their hand, she has to do different things, she has to hold them for like certain activities. It just depends, so you have to be comfortable with doing that. Have a friendly personality. You have to be able to be warm and friendly with patients, or else they won't work with you anymore, pretty much. You know, people who are just rude or don't take the patient's, you know, emotions in mind, they don't have jobs usually. So you just have to be really nice and, you know, just be kind to them, no matter what. Mentor selection. So basically, my mentor, Callie Lamus, she is a pediatric occupational therapist. She moved from Houston, and she has been in Frisco for about a year. She moved last summer. So I'm really glad that she moved, because she has been an amazing mentor, and it's been definitely the best part of my ISM experience so far, I think. So I've been able to observe multiple sessions with different kids with different goals and needs and disabilities and everything. So I've been able to see a lot, and it's been awesome. She's explained to me every single kid. She can't say the specific disorder, but she tells me what they need to learn, what they need to, like, what they have trouble with. So that's just something awesome that I was able to see this year. Encouraged me to come anytime and was flexible on times. So of course, it's senior year, all our schedules are super annoying throughout the year for different reasons, testing, just if you have tons of homework one night, anything like that. And so she's been awesome with like being able to be flexible on her schedule. So that has just been great this past year because I've had a lot going on. She gives me amazing advice and suggestions on portfolio research and my product, and so that's been great too. I know she's technically supposed to do this, but she's gone above and beyond, just telling me what I need to learn, writing notes all over my portfolio on things that she thinks is great or that I might need to change a little bit. But either way, like the constructive criticism that she gives me just like helps overall, and I think it's awesome that she's able to do that and kind of invest her time in me. So and I can always count on her to teach me something new every time I meet her. This is just something that I hope you all have had to, every time that you go to a mentor meeting, being able to just learn something new about the field or about your mentor or about yourself. So I think it's a great aspect of ISM, just being able to learn more about yourself and more about the field that you're going into. So yeah, that was my mentorship. It's been amazing. So my original work, the whole idea behind my original work is basically finding an accurate way to kind of hint on certain goals that the child or adult or, you know, elderly person, anyone really, can identify and set long-term and short-term goals for future in occupational therapy. And so I think it's awesome that, like, when you go into occupational therapy, like, you're able to understand what the patient needs, and the occupational therapist really hints on what they need to learn and what they want to learn. So need to learn would be like certain aspects like balance. You know, a lot of kids have trouble with balancing and coordination and walking in general. And then what they want to learn, that could be different sport that they really want to get into, that they've been interested in, or just simply playing with other kids. It just depends, and that's more the pediatric route, but it can go for any age group. So I came up with a kind of short acronym type thing with goals. Genuine is sincerely and honestly felt or experienced, and so that's really important, that the patient really wants to do, really wants to learn what you are kind of putting into a plan for occupational therapy. Observable, capable of being observed and noteworthy. So it has to be observable, like the progress throughout the year has to be observable to the occupational therapist, or they won't be able to know if it's really helping the child. Advantageous, advantageous, helpful or favorable, giving an advantage. So basically, this is just helping the patient, making sure that they, you know, grow and are able to take advantage of what they learn in life. Logical, capable of reasoning, using reason in an orderly fashion. So it has to be a logical goal for them. It can't be just something random out of the blue that doesn't make sense for their life. Straightforward, easy to do or understand, not complicated. It has to be something that the occupational therapist is able to just see, and it can't be complicated, because then that messes up their kind of, I guess, view on what's helping them. So it shouldn't be complicated. Original work. Basically, the whole point of my original work was just set goals for the next 1 to 10 years, or just the amount of time that they're in occupational therapy. So these are some of the questions that I included. Rate how important each goal is to you at this point in your life. 0 is not applicable, to 5 is extremely important. So I just listed some goals depending on what age group I was looking at. And so this one, like, get into college or career versus to be able to successfully live alone. So these would obviously be, like, the successfully live alone might be for an adult or elderly person, whereas get into college or career, that would be someone more in our grade who is having trouble with school, or just needing to branch out and be able to be a more professional or I guess, trustworthy, I don't know, person. Either or, circle which adjective describes you more, extrovert or introvert, optimistic or pessimistic. This is more of the like personality part of my original work. This is kind of just gaining skills that they need to know. Like they need to be able to tell whether or not they are more shy or more outgoing. And if it's a small kid, they can have their parents fill this out. And that's for, you know, the real test in occupational therapy too. So, true or false. Circle the T for true, N for neutral, or F for false to each question. I can get upset if things don't go my way, or I enjoy creating art and being creative. This could be true for both of them or false for both of them, but this is just basically, you know, stating what you like, and if it's something that you like to do, then they might want to focus on it, and so you'll be able to do that better. Short answer, give 1 or 2 sentences per question. What are some of your hobbies or interests? So this is just something that they fill out on their own, just stating their hobbies and interests so that the occupational therapist can know how to better suit them with their with the plan that they write. So, because every patient is different in personality, and being in occupational therapy, there's no exact answer to lifetime goals. This is just an overview of like more of a personality test of what they like, and the occupational therapist can take those answers and kind of figure them into a small, like, I guess, grab bag of the different goals that they want to work on. Because they can't work on everything all at once. They really focus on different aspects of what that child or adult or elderly person needs to live for daily living. So that's basically my original work, and I have it in my binder. It's like 15 to 20 pages long if you want to look at it later. So product development. I asked my mentor one of the biggest issues in OT was for pediatrics, and she said that it was mostly handwriting. So every single kid that comes in, almost every single kid that is, needs help on their handwriting, and that can include ABCs or just being able to control the pencil, hold the pencil right. You know, it's super important for growing up. It's super important for just life in general. You use it for everything pretty much. So that's just something that she said was an issue that they always needed to work on. I researched various articles on handwriting, learning the alphabet in OT, and developmental disorders that included autism and cerebral palsy and other disorders that children usually not suffer from, but, you know, have. So basically, with all of those articles, I kind of made a plan of what I wanted to do, and that included brainstorming products that I can create for handwriting. So I wanted to be able to help that need that she had with every kid too. And so I asked her about finger hand grasps, because that was the first idea that I had, just being able to have like a small grasp that you are able to write better, that maybe pulls some parts of your the muscles of your hand together, or just strengthens them in general, and so they'd be able to write better. But she said she took out a bag and showed me like 20 different products of what I was thinking of, so I already knew that was a little too competitive for me. And so I asked about a book for handwriting and the alphabet, and she said it was a great idea because they don't really have too many books about that. It's just really one called Handwriting for Without Tears that they use. So I began researching publishers and pricing and everything else that goes along with making a book. And of course, it was something that I wasn't publishing with a publisher. It was more of an online thing, so it'd be cheaper. And so throughout the development, I figured out, you know, how I was going to illustrate it, how I was going to go about the layout and everything. I have a lot of experience from yearbooks, so I was able to kind of take that experience and put it into my book. So I decided that the product will be illustrated, where each page introduces phone letters relating to each of the 26 letters of the alphabet. At the beginning, I asked if it would be a good idea to include like small toy animals to go along, like with like a little carrier, a little bucket with small toy animals to go along with the book. But then she said that it might be a choking hazard, which I didn't even think of at first. So I'm glad I had her to give some input on that. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're so right. You know, there's little kids that don't realize, and they could easily just put it in their mouth, and if it's, you know, I was thinking like about this big, so yeah, they could probably choke on it. And so I was like, what should I do? So I decided just to get foam letters, and they would have to identify the letter out of like a little bucket or a little attachment onto the book. And so that what kind of brings in, you know, eye coordination, like being able to pick out something that you have to identify, which is really important too. And so the right page would be a type of material of which a child could write on with a erase marker that would be provided. And so basically I was thinking, well, I want them to be able to write inside the book too, with the help of the occupational therapist most likely, but I want it to be so that it's both an alphabet and a writing book, helping with handwriting. And so what I was thinking was I got some like adhesive stickers of dry erase board. And it sounds kind of weird, really, but it's something that you can stick on the side of the page, and I would get, like, I got several packs, one for each letter. And so it's just something that they will be able to write, and they will be able to kind of look at the letter on the page and then try to write it down with them by themselves. Figured it must be a minimum of 52 pages. That's 26 times 2, so double page spread is what we call it in yearbook. Just having those 2 pages for 1 letter. I will be illustrating the book with freeform abstract artwork that's very colorful and photocopied onto Photoshop for further editing, because I know how to use Photoshop, so it's something that I didn't have trouble with at all. There'll be an illustration of the animal/object for each of the 26 letters. So I just wanted to have something that they could relate to, just a cute animal that they can think of when they hear that letter. For example, E for elephant. That's just, you know, it's simple. It's something that they can understand. So the whole reason why I did it is it will be useful not only to children with NOT that have physical or developmental difficulties, but also for developing children at home or at school. Like, so this can be for any children learning the alphabet or learning how to write, which is awesome. So that means that as a whole, any child from the community learning the alphabet and or handwriting could benefit from this all-in-one book. So being able to identify a letter, being able to write, and being able to kind of connect it to a image in their mind. So this is kind of what the book looks like. This was probably about a few days before I finished it, so I changed some stuff on it before, but this was the online publishing company that I use, Booksmart, from blurb.com, and it was fairly easy to use. It was a little annoying sometimes, to be honest, and my internet at my house isn't amazing, so it was fun to make, but it was also kind of challenging at times. These are some of my photocopied illustrations, and these are just different ones. A for airplane, the jellyfish for J, the car for C, H for horse, elephant, and girl. And these are just like I have 26 of these, and it took me a little bit of time to make them in class. I got my projects done in my 3D art class because I wanted to work on this, so and I'm not in 2D art, so it didn't apply to my concentration or anything. But I was able to do it, and I was really happy with how they turned out. So it was just something that I also like to do art a lot. So it was really fun for me to do this part.